Okay, welcome. We are actually going to do a live with Water Bear Medicine, who's joining us as a co-host. I'm really excited. We are going to talk about love and betrayal, and we're going to be talking about how the massive influencers are going through betrayal, and how influencers, my point of view, honestly, is that there are influencers that are way too fucking young to be talking about anything that's going to help people really come to ascension. Why? Because you have to have life experiences, and you have to be out in the world. And hey, Mama Yeti, it's good to see you. I'm waiting for Water Bear. While I wait for Water Bear, feel free to type in your questions, okay? When he's on, like wait until he's on. Hey, Stacy, it's good to see you. So wait until he's on. So this whole live, please share the live if you don't mind. If you could share the live, it's a really important live with the Divine Masculine. We are going to talk about Aubrey Marcus. I promise that's the last time we talk about it, but I needed to invite a Divine Masculine to talk about that because it's really triggering a lot of women all over the world. It has made women really fucking go through psychosis, massive depression, a feeling that they'll never be able to find a devoted beloved, that they will never find true love, that they'll have to share the man. And we need to deconstruct high value males, and we need to deconstruct a lot of things. Please share the live if you can. All of you share the live. This is important. I never ask you to share the live unless I think it's important. This is important. While we wait for Water Bear Medicine, I'm going to give you an oracle card from the deck called Through the Eyes of the Soul by Cheryl Yambrick Rose. She's an amazing artist. Her oracle decks are very profound if you pay attention, but they're very short. So I want you to pick right, left, or middle while we wait for... thank you, Stacy, for sharing the live. And also, I never ask you tap the screen. Why am I asking you to tap the screen? Because this, as when he comes in as a co-host, it will impact his ability to go wider and farther in his reach on the algorithm. That's why I'm asking you. I never ask you to do all these little fucking shit that TikTok, like it's almost like, you have to tap the screen and all this shit. I never ask you because I never want to, but I'm not going to ask you again. So if you could tap the screen and ask people in the chat, please tap the screen, help these two people, content creators, because what I'm seeing is content creators and influencers who should, like Aubrey Marcus being a good example. You have to understand that for many young women who were following this love story of Vylana and Aubrey Marcus, they became the symbol of bad boy, rich millionaire. It was a Cinderella story for many women. Do you understand that? This was very damaging to the feminine psyche of women between, I'm going to say 17 to 40, 45. Let's do that age range. By the time a woman like me has gone through middle, okay, you guys are on it, middle. By the time you guys are, when people get to my age, you've never had a love, or you've been blessed like I've been blessed. Okay, so the card is 39. It's called Sacred Journey Pilgrimage. Sacred Journey Pilgrimage. And I'm waiting for him to get on. So let me read to you 39. Bear with me for a second. 39, 39, 39. And let's see what it says. And I'm going to read it to you. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love this card for you guys. Listen to this. 39. It's on page 50. So if your life path is 5... or you were born on the 5th of the month, this is connected to Mercury, it's connected to communication, it's fantastic. 39 is connected to 12. 12 is the sacrifice and the victim. Be careful with that shit. But when you add it 1 plus 2 equals 3, 39, I didn't even have to do that. Oh, fantastic, accept. Welcome. So, hey, I
Hello.
love your energy vibration coach. So, Mark, Water Bear Medicine is an energy coach, vibration coach. He's a spiritual guide. He works with men, women, and couples. And he's a divine masculine. He's a unicorn. and tell the folks a little bit about you. And let me finish this card though before you start. Welcome. Let me finish this card because I wanted to have an intermission while we waited for you. So let me read it. It's very quick. 39, Sacred Journey Pilgrims, Sarah in Avalon. Detach from all that is familiar. Did you hear that? Be open to transformation. On pilgrimage, you live outside time, moving through space. You shake off old bonds, and a sense of freedom takes their place. You travel through the landscape, knowing you will be forever changed by the journey. Such a place is the Isle of Avalon, where this painting is set. In it, Mary Magdalene's daughter Sarah stands on top of Wiriel Hill, with Glastonbury Tor in the background. Joseph of Arimathea had landed there with his companion around 63 CE. Wary all, being wary, exhausted, wary all. A staff planted on the ground grew into the holy thorn tree. Sarah is holding a blooming branch of the North African species. A Phoenician boar sits in the marshland, and the Tor is still a natural temple without a tower on top of it. The labyrinth carved track leading to the summit is a path of initiation. Under the Tor is the entrance to Aven. In Celtic mysticism, this is the home of Gwyn ap Nudd and the fairy realm. This is about changing. This is about destroying the concepts of the old patriarchy that dates back to the Talmud. Look it up. It dates back to
interesting.
Torah. It dates back to the corrupted patriarchal template that goes from there, Talmud, Torah, and goes right into the Old Testament. And this is what Marcus Aubrey is playing out. He thinks it's new. It's old, toxic, deviant, patriarchal templates that subjugate the high priestess. Go for it, my love. You're on.
So let's just set the stage here. We're talking about Aubrey Marcus as one of the aspects, and there's a couple of other relationships that are in the media that we'd like to talk about, situations that have happened. But it's really about the betrayal, trauma that's happening, and the different perspectives of the masculine and the feminine in these relationships. So what is it then that we can say about his wife, who was the original wife in before he was married this second time? She's gone online and talked about the trauma of being in a previous polyamory relationship, even though they left amicably, and she was saying how divinely influenced she was by the relationship. She was masking a lot of trauma, and now it's come out that she spent years recovering from the traumatic relationship and how difficult it's been. And now we're seeing the similar sort of thing happen with his current relationship. But it's, again, she's masking the pain. She's masking the betrayal because she doesn't want to lose the connection, the comfortability, and all of those things. Does anybody want to chime in? Please go ahead and give us your take on this.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've been doing a couple videos. I'm so happy you're here to give the sacred masculine perspective, because here we are talking about the sacred masculine voice rising out of this debacle of bullshit where we've been taught as women in the collective consciousness of the feminine mind and heart that Aubrey Marcus was a high value man. And what it showed me, and we talked about this briefly, me and Waterbear, is we talked about the fact that it showed me that the high value man, aka the part of the 1% or the 2%, the ones that are making 100 million, 500 million, whatever. He's made a lot of money selling his pills, his his vitamin company on it, right? He's made a lot of money on it. Joe Rogan is a friend of his, and so I never liked him, to be honest with you, so I never watched him. But a lot of people thought that what he was saying was wisdom, and he represented the bad boy, meaning the polyamorous playboy, always wanting more pussy. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it like that. More bimbos. And he fell in love with Vylana and decided that now he turned from being a polyamorous male to a monogamous male, talked about the problems of polyamory, talked about his jealousy of his previous partner having sex with other men and how it actually destroyed their relationship. And for 2 years, he sold monogamous courses on the sacred template of the divine union of two people, a feminine and masculine in this case, and how for 2 years while they were going through their bullshit, they were doing a bait and switch all along. And so that's my take on it. I didn't answer it the way you probably wanted me to, but that's what I saw. Massive hypocrisy, manipulation, triangling, bait and switch, gaslighting at the highest level on the collective stage, and people and the collective spiritual movement said a resounding, a loud "fuck you, no," which I think surprised them. But anyway, he's double downing. He's double downing on it. I don't know if you know, but he's actually
people have used the word exactly. People have used the word grifter, meaning that he's in it for the money, he's in it for the clout. And I'm finding it really difficult to find a continuity that I feel comfortable with. I haven't watched all of his videos. There's too many of them to watch. But what I do know is what I feel in my gut. And I have watched a few clips. I have seen footage of the two females, his wife and his third partner, or his other female partner. And I would say that they are pleasing him because it's what he wants. Obviously there's some novelty factor in their eyes. You can see that enjoyment in them. But at the same time, the original wife in this current throuple, her name is Liana, right?
Ilana
and
Alana. Just
it's too similar. That's the problem I have. I can't remember the difference between the two names. Too similar. She has a kind of underlying angst, a dissatisfaction of not feeling safe in kind of voicing her uncomfortability with the situation. So she's putting up with it because of the material comfortability. But when I looked at her, she's got her own YouTube channel, and she's put a post on there where that seems slightly out of character. Do you know what I mean? And it's demonstrating her now needing external independent validation from being with her current partner. And what does that tell you? It tells you that there's kind of this underlying unmet need of feeling not important, not loved, not prioritized. And that's a challenge. That's something that I've realized is happening so much in these high profile relationships.
Right.
Is that it takes time to build that trust. It takes time to make the person feel not just loved, but safe.
Yeah, right.
It takes very little to then destroy that.
Very little, exactly.
Bringing in, so the wizard Liz.
Yes.
He's been with a partner, been with a new partner. He's got her pregnant. They're engaged to be married. He's bought her a ring, and then he's gone and cheated on her. Now, we don't know the full details. We maybe never will. But what is obvious to me is he lacks discernment to realize that you don't do that sort of thing. And you definitely don't do that sort of thing when you're married, when you're going to be married with your now pregnant partner. And so Wizard Liz, unfortunately, lacks discernment. She's not given enough time to get to know this person. Go on.
I'm just going to be blunt. Okay, she's a bimbo. Okay, and we talked about this, and I know you're cringing on my term, and we discussed what terms mean. She's a bimbo with all kinds of plastic surgery. She's no different. She's another Kardashian, except she's not related to the family. I'm sorry, I never heard of her before. And what I'm seeing, and I'm not kissing your ass, Water Bear. I have seen Andromeda Flame put out incredible fucking videos. I've seen you put out incredible videos, and you guys are lucky to get 50 likes. And it's not because the content is bad. It's actually excellent. I see a bimbo wearing her little Chanel bag and her big tits and her fake lips, and she's got 8.2 million people following her on the spiritual path. What the fuck are we doing in the spiritual community? And she's 21. She hasn't even seen a human being she loved died. She's never had to fucking spoon feed a person on their deathbed. Is that the litmus test for empathy? No, but I want that bitch to have at least traveled to Europe on a backpack. There are girls her age who are right now, and yeah, this is female rage in action, because we've worked too fucking hard to have bimbos like that influence girls, when we have girls right now. There's one who has maybe lucky 20,000 people following her. She's about 22 years old. Beautiful girl, no makeup, au naturel, blonde hair, no problem, doing the Camino, talking about her experience, the people she's meeting, the food she's eating, her spiritual downloads. And she is lucky to get 20,000. She's not even getting 1,200 likes. And my point is, what are we doing in the spiritual community that we have 8.2 billion? Do we have 8.2 billion bimbos or following bimbos? Is that what it is? Or do we have people who lack discernment? And yeah, I'm fucking taking the gloves off. 2025 is the number 9, and I'm taking my fucking gloves on. I am not going to be taking my fucking gloves on. I am not going to be politically correct. If shit like me offends you, keep scrolling. I'm done. We need to get our shit together. We have the business of ascension. We have a genocide going on. We have forced famine going on this planet. We have, I can't even use the proper word for physical sexual assault on people happening. All of this is happening. Meanwhile, I'm watching a bimbo like literally talk about manifesting. She couldn't even manifest her man's penis in his pants. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm
sad.
I'm angry for myself, Water Bear. I'm angry for the new generations who are lonely as fuck, gorgeous young people in their 20s looking for divine love. And we got motherfuckers like her and Aubrey Marcus coming in, influencing many of you, or many of the people you know. And that needs to end. We need to have people like you, Water Bear.
So I wanted to talk. May I, Tony?
Please.
I wanted to talk about discernment and really how these things are happening. People are getting into relationships. They don't understand the red flags, the green flags. They don't know what they should be looking for in a good partner. They don't know what they should be looking for in a bad partner. The red flags to shy you away from forging relationships with those sorts of people. Mm-hmm. There are very clear, easy ways to tell if somebody is manipulative. And you can ask people questions that will then show you if this person is manipulative. There are ways, and look, I am going to do a guide about this that people can download for free because it is too important. And yeah. I'll give you a copy of that for you to share on your account as well.
I will share it on this YouTube live.
It is, yeah, absolutely. It's too valuable. It's too important and too valuable for the next generation. We need people to be finding enduring, lasting, loving connections. I do want to say a few of the topics we're going to touch within the next half an hour or so. We should talk about the spiritual entity attachments and how they influence people because of the continued overindulgence in drugs, alcohol, overindulgence in being with other people, and just genuinely not looking after yourself and not acting in a way that is for your best good in your future. Exactly. So when we talk about Aubrey Marcus, what I will say to you is that there is a clear way of determining whether he is somebody that is acting in alignment.
Yeah. And
like what is so obvious to me is that he's an extrovert, right? He's very outwardly spoken. He speaks in kind of a way in which it pulls you in to his energy, right? And what that is doing.
But hang on, or not, because for me,
Well,
the way he speaks is completely revolting, and it was before this happened.
so
Like I watched.
you're either pulled in or you're repelled. That's what
Right,
you want to point out.
right on,
Yeah.
right on, cool.
And so what's going on is that if you don't have strong boundaries and a strong sense of who you are, and for the women in his life, they're drawn to the magnetic. He's there to magnify his personality to draw people in, and so they're attracted to that, and that's okay. The thing that they haven't done is they haven't observed how he treats people over time. Because if they watched, maybe they accepted that he had been using people in the past.
Yeah.
Maybe just the gift of the gab just allows people to just
But
go
listen,
ahead.
no, but listen, if he was working at Walmart or if he was a construction worker, and this is a point that was made by one of the TikTok dudes, or one of these dudes,
Yeah.
he's an irreverent, funny, quirky, goofy dude that was absolutely sarcastic as fuck through his whole breakdown of Aubrey Marcus. And one of the questions he asked, which was valid, really valid, really, would he really get these two chicks to say yes to that if he was at Walmart, at McDonald's, as a manager, at TJ Maxx? Would he say yes? And we all know that these two chicks would not. So the problem with these women that have been influencing, Vylana has been a massive influence in the supposed goddess energy of Eros, since they like to use Eros. And,
Yeah.
And it's a joke because be a 3-year-old, some 3-year-olds are very precocious, and you know what I mean by precocious. They want to dance around, this and that. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're little 3-year-olds. They want attention. That's normal. But she's acting like that as a grown-ass woman. Daddy, daddy, look at me. Daddy, daddy, am I not sexy? Daddy, daddy, choose me. And I remember seeing one of her erotic dances, and everyone was commenting 7 months ago, 4 months ago. I saw the comments. And then I saw comments change after the debacle, but that were very mean, to be honest. But in that, or supporting her, going, run, Vylana, run, or get the fuck out of that relationship. But ultimately, everyone was cloaked in this hypnosis of the collective mindset that she had her shit together because she had taken a bad boy and made him monogamous. Unbeknownst to everyone that this was going on in the background for the last 18 months with Alana. And my point to you is that when I was watching her, I was looking at her going, this isn't, because I've seen belly dancers, and some belly dancers are so in the bliss of dancing, they're gorgeous. They're fucking gorgeous. I've seen overweight belly dancers dance, beautiful, what people would call beautiful in their bodies, belly dancers dance. And there's something hypnotic about these women, but no way are they viral, which is weird. But she was viral. And I looked at her going, no, this is fake shit. This is all pain in action. It's overt sexuality from a place of pain, not a place of bliss. Like I've seen, for example, belly dancers, jazz dancers, ballet dancers, and different type of African dancing, just going into a place of just bliss. And they're so blissed out, they're unaware of who's filming, who's watching, and you get chills just watching them dance. I didn't see that with her. I saw someone putting up a front of I'm sexy, and there's something revolting about that. It's overt. He's a somatic narcissist, by the way. That's what they call him. Somatic narcissist means he uses his body, right? He lifts weights, all of that to be what women want, or some women want. Okay, I'm not going to say what women want. Some women want, but ultimately, the question we have to ask, magnetic or not, because serial killers are magnetic as well, by the way. That's why they become serial.
I'm not saying it's all positive. Absolutely.
But so my point to you, and not to be too lengthy on this, my point to you is, if he was making $21 an hour, would he be viral? And my answer to you is no, because there's something dead in his eyes. He doesn't have the shiny eyes of a warrior, of a shaman. And there are kids, and when I mean kids, 25, 30, 40-year-old men out there in the world doing this shit on a mountain in Nepal, in Switzerland, hiking, and I see massive charisma, massive joy, massive beauty. I mean, these are divine masculines in action, and they're no way near because they're not rich. And we women, we need to understand that these men who are high value aren't going to be rich. because they're going to value time with you, not chasing the gold. The gold standard of man isn't what is in his bank account. It's his loyalty. It's his wolf personality, meaning he protects the elder, he protects the young, he protects you. IN on Instagram is a perfect. I hope to God he doesn't come out in the end as being a complete asshole as well. But so far, IN has been politically involved with Gaza, and he's been politically involved with the divine template of the masculine and feminine. He's been doing both things. And Aubrey Marcus, which really should be the test for all of you. Are they talking about Gaza? No, fucking keep scrolling. Fuck them. Because if you're not talking about genocide and famine, then you're not something I want to trust in anything. Because if you're not comfortable talking about injustice for other human beings, why am I fucking listening to you, dude? You've got nothing I want to hear.
So one of the biggest challenges we have is when you are in a very popular, monetized channel, right? Mm-hmm. You have a lot to lose. And that is exactly why people are not bringing these things up. Because they know the money train stops the moment they do.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And that is how the media consent plays its game. You have to play the ball. You have to follow the narrative. And if you don't, then you lose out on the money train. And you have to understand that the colonialism system is control the money, control the food, control the people, right?
Yeah, but how much money do you need? Listen, people like me who are making less than, it's not anyone's business, but trust me,
the point is, if you've got somebody that's a billionaire, you're right. They don't need to keep doing that. And I have to put my hat off to somebody like Elon Musk. There's a lot of people that disagree with how he's been and what he's doing, but he will say, screw you, and do what he wants.
Exactly. And I just saw him being interviewed recently, just a quick 2-minute. Said the interviewer asked him, how is it running your company? He said, right now it's very difficult. Yeah, because he really wanted, one of the things he wanted was a wage, a common wage for everyone. He wanted people, I remember hearing it from his mouth. It wasn't something I read. It wasn't hearsay. He wanted people to make $100,000 a year. Now, am I wrong on that number? It could be between 60 and 100, but I remember, I think it was 100,000 because he knew, and he wanted everyone in America to make 100 grand. I remember hearing, I hope to God I saved that video because I save a lot of videos.
Yeah, no, I watched it too, and I want to point out what does this lead to, and it does take us a little bit off this topic, but I'm going to try and tie it in if I may. Do you want to say some things before I carry on?
It's all you.
Okay, so I absolutely know the purpose and the reason for Elon Musk mentioning universal basic income or a standard of living, meaning the 100,000 a year. It really is about the identification that abundance for all is happening whether we get into alignment emotionally to be in loving relationships or not. And, robotics, digitized or automated manufacturing of all of our food, of all of our white goods and material, clothing, etc. Robotics that can build houses, cars that can drive themselves. If you go and search for the videos, you will find them. It exists. We are a few short years away from it being abundantly everywhere. And we have a status quo of politicalist, imperial, colonialist ways that feel the only way for things to be fair for them is for there still to be a politically, for there to be a poor class that is constantly and forever always on the breadline. Mm-hmm. And that is the purpose and reason for inflation. But and I mentioned it before, we are going to get there whether we get into emotional alignment or not. And what I'm trying to point out is that wouldn't it be nice if we knew how to look for the partner that's going to see we are walking the path. We know what it is to self-love and to love another. We know what it is to be worthy of and to give fairly and receive fairly. The energy exchange is what I'm talking about. When you get
Right.
into divine union, where the energy exchange and the connections are based on multiple energy centers, you're not just in it for the sexual attraction. You are in it because there is a loving connection. You're in it because there is a meeting of the minds. That is the divine union that we're talking about, and that is what so many people want. But we have got a gap, and that is that people are chasing money, materialistic clout, so much more than they are the emotional fulfillment of being in alignment with yourself, which you must do before you go in alignment with others. Please take it away, Tony.
Well, I mean, when you look at Wizard Liz, for example, and I briefly looked at her before we, jumped on this, and she's one of the people I would never follow because her whole thing is about luxury lifestyle.
Yep.
Okay, what she's talking about, like, don't get me wrong, like, to me, the lifestyle I'm looking at are farmers, people who are homesteading, shit like that, right? And also people building communities, because that's what I'm interested in. But what I'm going to say to you, and besides the Gaza, okay, which is really fucking...
It's atrocious. It's terrible, and I don't know what else to do about it. We all know about it.
I mean, it's energy work, like. Oh, but anyway, so my point to you is when I look at her, all I see is posing in front of the camera with some stupid ass music, with a little handbag and a new dress and another new dress and another new dress. So the problem with what's happening with this generation is no different than what happened in my generation when I was their age, meaning in the 80s. Was what we were watching was Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. But see, the difference was Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous was this British guy who talked about how Anand Khashoggi had his yacht and how he was a pew pew runner and all of that. Again, I hate being edited on words, but you get what I'm saying. And I saw, so for us, money meant freedom. And now that we are on this new social media circle where there's this incredible information out there, it's like you choose what book you want to read. You choose the content in your algorithm. You get to choose. And the fact is that now you don't need money to be free. You need community, though. You need each other. We need each other to be free.
That's true.
What we need to understand. We don't, because before it was, if I have $100 million, no one can touch me. I can get a private yacht. I can afford a chef and a captain and maybe one crew member per year. I'll live on my boat and I'll go for all over the world and I'll be happy. And that was the kind of concept that we all wanted to get off the infrastructure of this planet. That was the common thing for boomers. But what I don't understand about millennials and Gen Xers is you guys are not getting. I mean, a lot of these Gen Xers and they're not getting the plot because you're still looking at some chick with a dress. You're looking at Kardashian. Her name is not Kardashian, but you're looking at that. You should be ashamed because you should be looking at how do we build community. It's like if you want off the infrastructure that's been, architected by the 1%. And Aubrey Marcus shows us, this is what I said, he's chasing his dick. And that's it. That's all. That's it. He doesn't care about what's going on in Rwanda, what's going on in in Sudan. He doesn't give a fuck how cobalt is mined. He doesn't care. He cares about what's between his legs and it's desire. So we have now been shown clearly that the 1% doesn't give one fuck about injustices on this planet, period. And he is actually the poster boy of that truth. He's chasing his dick, period. That's all he cares about. He has yet to do any content that would support anything that would shift the dynamics of injustice. He's yet to go to the Sudan and help women. He's yet to go to the Congo and help these 10-year-old kids. And I'm ashamed to say I'm using this fucking phone where a child didn't make it to the age of 12. So what we're seeing now is the movie Eyes Wide Shut showed that as well. A lot of movies in the higher realms show that. They show the elite. What are they chasing? What's between their legs? So now that we know, we have to lock hands. That's why he's good. Now, you had something about Aubrey Marcus that you wanted to talk about how he's been used on the collective for the greater good. So if you could explain that to them, and then I'm going to explain my opposing view, because that's important for us to share these two views.
Well, okay, so maybe we got cross-wired because ultimately, he's been used as an interviewer of some of the very well-known and highly lauded individuals in spirituality and business and other areas. I mean, Joe Dispenza, somebody I look up to who seems to be doing a world of good for people who are suffering and helping them get away from their disabling thought patterns that are making them sick. And you see, so what that's done is it's given credibility to his movement. So whatever ideas he then portrays seem to be trusted by individuals. And discernment is so important here because, and I'm going to just hit the nail on the bullseye here. The point of it is that he married his partner that he's with now with no intention of, as you rightly pointed out, he was projecting that he knew about divine union, and she went into that union without any knowledge of him wanting or believing in needing to be in polyamorous relationships. And so the lack of transparency is a red flag. He hid his intentions and only revealed the desire after she had made enormous emotional investment. And that emotional investment that she has made into their marriage is what's keeping her there, and she is now betraying herself. She's not looking after herself.
That's why when we saw all of us as women and many unicorns like you, meaning I call you guys unicorns because you're divine masculines, and there are not a lot of you, but a lot of males stepped up and did some massive, they fucked him up. Thank God. Some of them were being way too politically correct. I'm more like a masculine coming out of this, obviously, because I'm like, the damage was, we saw her literally fall apart, and no one gave her a hug. No one.
Exactly. It's so sad to see her suffering, even though she's not openly admitting it. She clearly is.
Yeah. Well,
and can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that he is he's got double standards? Is he expecting both women to be committed to him, but he would not allow them to go and have another male partner?
No, they both are allowed to have male partners. In fact, he's lying also. I know he's lying because she said in her interview when they were all talking that she's not into having other men. But then in his post, because he turned off all the comments, he said she has a man by the name of Joshua. And I'm like, he's lying. Either he's lying or she has a man, but they're friends. She's not having sex. I know women like her. I work with women. I'm also a coach, and a reader, a psychic. And I listen to women. Every woman who's been in a twin flame journey, if she's in separation, she's fucking celibate unless she's married to her high-level soulmate.
I agree. I think that's an important point. You need to understand that if you are committed to somebody energetically, then you are going to be celibate in separation.
Yeah.
Very important, because otherwise you're not going to be energetically pure and willing that divine union back into manifestation. So a couple more questions for you. In Muslim religion, if a man wants to consider having multiple women in the marriage, so he's married to multiple women, when he marries the first woman, she needs to know that. And if she doesn't want that, then she would have that written into the marriage contract that she does not want to be in a multiple partner marriage. And what that comes down to is clear intentions. And he did not have those clear intentions.
No, it was a bait and switch. He did a bait and switch.
I agree.
He was a car salesman. Let me give you a scenario. So you get all excited, you call up, you go, so you've got the Alfa Romeo in red. Yes, I do. And you show up and it's a fucking Jeep that's black. You're like, wait, hang on. I drove 2 hours to get here. I asked you if you had the red Alfa Romeo. You said yes, and it's a black Jeep. What are you doing? And car salesmen, they pull that shit. Oh, we just sold it. This is what we got. And that's exactly what he did with her. That's why we're seeing a massive implosion. the fact that Mark Gaffney, a former defrocked rabbi, who was in Israel doing his little rabbinic bullshit and fucking all these women. He was polyamorous. Yeah. No one else knew. Watch the Dr. Phil interview. I don't even know why he agreed to that interview. Dr. Phil will totally cut your. I mean, he'll you know. Anyway, Dr. Phil can be very judgmental and very brutal. He's a savage. He's savage, and so he interviews this Mark Gaffney, and Mark Gaffney is stepping in dog shit at every step. You're like, are you, for a psychologist, are you for real? Whatever the hell it is. And it was unhinged. So he was defrocked. He was thrown out of Israel. And here they are using him as a guide of relationship. The man's never been in a divine union in his entire life. He has gone after teenage girls. This is known. This is not hearsay. This is documented. It's freedom of the press. You can go and look at it. Let me. Okay, you got it. Okay, so yeah, I guess. This all is happening. Okay, and they took him, of all the people on the planet. One of the content creators that talked about Mark Gaffney. By the way, she worked with Mark Gaffney. She's actually a psychologist, and she worked with him until she no longer did because of some of the allegations that were coming out, even while she was working with him. She also talked about, and many women are saying, the moment where he went into the ISIS temple and he got the download, and we need to talk about corrupted downloads, when he was told by the ISIS, supposedly, which obviously wasn't ISIS at all, said, you must have babies with both of them. You must impregnate both of these women. And the minute he got sick, he was sick to his physical body. That's a massive, if he was a real spiritualist at his age, not a 21-year-old like Wizard Liz, I mean, at his age, he would have known, wait, hang on, I'm being fucked with. This is corrupt bullshit.
Was it you, Tony, who mentioned to me that it's never the women that get the download from the entity about having babies with the man?
That was my next.
It's the man that does. It's right. The man that's got that.
It was the same thing where I forgot Joseph something, the founder of the Mormon whatever in Utah, and all of these weird ass religions. Jim Jones. It wasn't me. It was multiple content creators that came out of the fucking wings, going, "What the fuck?" Interesting how none of them. It's never the woman getting the sign. It's her fucking womb for 9 months, for Christ's sake. It's always the men. And so the men, and again, I say this respectfully to you, my divine masculine, but these men are following the dicks, period. End of story. Let's not fucking make it a religion, a cult, a spiritual aha moment. It isn't. They have sexual problems. That's it.
What's another word for balance?
Balance. Integrity. Because when you balance, integrity, because when you're in balance, you have integrity. When you're in balance, you have heart coherence. When you're
right.
You're truly
there you go. You nailed it. You nailed it. When you have heart, brain, energy coherence, you're in alignment. You're acting authentically.
Right.
And it seems interesting to me. What was his, outside of him being divinely inspired to do it, what was his reasoning for it? Did he identify his intentions?
No, he did not. He just said what he did say multiple times. And I've seen, before I'm going to talk shit about someone that is going to bamboozle people on a massive scale, because when people do that, I'm gloves off. I'm after you. I'm hunting you down. Fuck you. So what I did see is multiple videos and he was like on an interview with Matthias De Stefano, who I have massive respect for. Love that young man, that incredible starseed. And if you guys don't know who Matthias De Stefano is, look at his content creations on Gaia.com. I'll say no more. But anyway, he's being interviewed by, Aubrey Marcus is interviewing Matthias De Stefano, and they're talking about all these esoteric, mind-blowing starseed shit. And then, boom, he says, yeah, I love nothing more than making love to and having this incredible eros with my divine partner. He was talking about Vylana. And they actually looked at each other, like, because he was being interviewed with another dude, and it was like, what the fuck is this? Like, where's this coming from? Like, there was a moment of blankness in Matthias De Stefano's face, like, What just happened? Like, we weren't talking about your debt, but we're back to your debt. Everything's about his debt. And that's ultimately, and this is how we have to talk about these people. There's a level where we have been unfair throughout the 4,000 years when we would shame people who were divine sorceresses and druids, druidesses, and massive healers, high priestesses and high priestesses, and through the orthodox teachings of these patriarchal deviant, situations. But to be honest with you, we need to shame these people to shut the fuck up because they're harming people. Because I don't know how many women are being harmed right now where they're going through a massive dark night of the soul because of this. That's how fragile people are.
It really is so tragic because his focus is all about. So what I've just done a little search, and he mentions that his focus is around self-discovery, emotional growth, radical honesty, and spiritual philosophy. It doesn't say emotional intimacy and depth. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say a deepening exploration of the connection with my partner. It's very self-focused. And then he goes on to talk about non-monogamy is the best teacher I ever had to face jealousy, insecurity, and fear head on. Is he meaning that in a sort of observation way where he observes the jealousy and insecurity of his two female counterparts?
Well, no, he was...
what they go through, because if he was in the interview with, what did he call his name?
Mark Gaffney.
No, sorry.
Matthias Di Stefano.
No, not him, sorry. So you mentioned Liana had a partner, but we never saw her on saw him on an interview.
No, never. His name's Joshua. He was supposedly there's this guy called Joshua who he said, well, maybe we should have, because what happened is Aubrey Marcus on this particular podcast removed the comment. You can't comment on that video. So what a lot of us are doing are commenting on his other videos, calling him out. A lot of us, and you could say that's Wi-Fi, internet bullying. It's not. We're calling him out. Fucking apologize. Say you fucked up. Let the world know. It's no different than a fight with your beloved, and you fuck up. You realize you fucked up, so you repair. What do you repair? Well, you say, "I'm sorry because I was really insensitive because." Yeah. Okay, well, he's not doing that. He's doubling down on Instagram, saying that we are the peasantry and we don't understand his high level constellation of relationships. Of radical monogamy through polyamory. The man has, I've never seen word salad used.
It's word salad, it is. And look, let me ask you a question from a kind of elevated perspective. If he said, I am truly committed to you, my woman, here is half of all my belongings. I am committed to you for life. But I do seek the amorous connection with other partners, but you are my number one. And here is half of all I bestow to you. That shows a level of materialistic commitment.
That's right.
But means that you come first, my love, right? But he's not doing that.
Well, he's not doing that because he's you hit it on the head. He's controlling with the lifestyle because she actually left. Vylana left the relationship for a while, and she came back. And why did she come back? Because, and this is something that's not talked about enough.
It wasn't that nice on her own without all the comfortabilities he'd been providing, I guess.
Well, it wasn't just that. I've seen this in action with just your basic pedestrian female. When she's a widow, when she goes through divorce, the world turns their back on her because now she's a single woman and she's a threat. She's a threat to married couple. She's a threat to the family. She becomes a threat. She's this lone she-wolf that is not to be trusted in the circle of family units. I'm not joking. I've seen it again and again. So when Vylana left the sacred sanctity of Aubrey Marcus's $400 million world, right? She left and went, oh shit. But what you said is very important because had he written her a check for $50 million, to say, this is the money I bestow you, my beloved. I love you. I fucked you over. I'm going to admit it. I fucked you over.
Let's not use the word fucked you over. If you don't agree with me having an extra partner and you genuinely don't want that, you have no need to fear the material separation as the reason. And
exactly. And can I just say,
Now she's going to be honest. Now she's going to be honest. She's going to tell him how she feels because the money is no longer unequal. Right?
And guess what? It shows his lack of fucking spiritual truth.
It does. I think so. Yeah.
Right? Because when you have money, like the story I keep telling women who say, "Oh, you know, he's got money, property, he can't divorce his wife." I tell the Michael Douglas story. Michael Douglas fell in love. It should have been a shenugel for a minute with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yes. And it turned out to be he fell fucking in love with her. They're definitely twin flames or something like that. I don't know what it is. They're still together.
I agree with you. There's some deep connection going on there.
It's real. It's for reil. And they lived the 1970s lifestyle. You know, it's a very Liz Taylor, Richard Burton type of jet-setting lifestyle. Okay, but what did he do when he needed to leave his marriage? He wrote a $50 million fucking check to his wife saying, "I need to divorce you. I don't love you anymore. I'm really sorry. Here's a $50 million check." He put his money and his heart on and he made it back because he was gone. Aubrey Marcus should have done that with Vylana. Here's a $50 million check. And $50 million today is not $50 million back in the 90s, right? So I will say it this way. $100 million. Dude, you've got $400 million. Give this chick $50 million. Then if she returns, it's because she does love you. It's not because her lifestyle suddenly has plummeted to a studio apartment or an apartment that's $2,000 or let's put it $4,000 a month, right? Wherever the hell she lives. Now she's still living her life on her term, and she's got $50 million under her belt. Now she comes back. She comes from a place of power, but she crawled back, and it's obvious because she's literally going through a massive. I've never seen a woman ever in my life, and this is the truth. Okay, 63 years on the planet, I have never seen a woman get fucking destroyed on any type of TV in my entire life. I never saw anything like that in my life. So that is profound. That is the most overt abuse I've ever seen. I've never seen gaslighting this skillfully, deviantly done in my entire fucking life, using Kabbalah, mysticism, and tantric eros in my life. Tantric eros in my life. And you're right. I feel, many of you feel my anger. I am not the anger of my own heart, not completely, but I am the anger of the fact of my own heart, not completely, but I am the anger of the feminine collective.
So, look, there's a couple of things going on here, right?
Yeah.
We've got the lack of moral alignment or emotional. There's an emotional disconnect in what's going on with this polyamorous relationship situation. Yeah. And I know his perspective is, I'm so divinely connected to the universe that I can love anyone and everything, and that is the love that I bring to my polyamorous relationship, and I give them both immense amounts of universal godly love, and they love it. All right, that's his claim. Mm-hmm. But I have to point out that unless the women in his life are that elevated spiritually, and clearly Liana is not.
Absolutely.
I don't think either of them are. It will come a time when they will feel disconnected from him and won't want to connect with him. Because they're just, look, how many years does it take for a divinely spiritual person to become a true guru, a true elevated soul in connection with Gaia, to, transcend the need for sexual love, exactly, and to just be connected to the divinity, to the love in the kind of truly spiritual sense.
Exactly.
It takes a long time. It can take a lifetime. And I think, go on, please.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The big point here is that if you are elevated into a spiritual kind of love, it transcends the need to express physical love. Well, it doesn't mean you don't give somebody a hug. It doesn't mean you don't look at somebody with love. But the need to experience it physically is transcended through the spirit, through the connection to spirit.
it's funny because I know you haven't seen my lives on this subject, but you've said it exactly. You hit the nail on the head. I talked about the fact I've met men who I'm massively connected to, but it never occurred to me to go to bed with them. Like it wasn't an immediate, okay, between my legs now. It was like, oh no, there's a soul connection. We're from the soul tribe. I would see them as my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter if they were older, younger, my age, because I was in a committed relationship with my beloved. In terms of money, because we have to go back to money, because it shows me that Aubrey Marcus is all about lack and greed and avarice. Is the fact that, like, for example, my twin, we shoved $100 bills in my hand. He didn't even know what he was giving me. Sometimes he would give me his whole entire check. I go, wait, hang on, you gave me too much. No, just keep it. Just make sure we have enough money for pot. That was it. That's all he cared about. It was like, that was money for him was nothing. I'm being very transparent right now because I'm not going to put our relationship on a pedestal. But the point is, money was the last thing on his fucking agenda. Money for him was a trap in itself, in the infrastructure that he recognized as toxic. What I see with Aubrey Marcus is I'm going to be even magnanimous with his money. What if he had given both these checks $25 million each, $50 million each, and go, now we know we're on an even playing field. Now, if you stay, I know it's because of me. And that lack of ability to do that shows what a piece of shit he really is and how he wants to hold on to his money. He's like the Four of Pentacles. If you guys pull up on your computers the Four of Pentacles, it's a man holding on to a fucking coin. That's more Aubrey Marcus. He wants his cake and eat it too. I hate that line because it's so fucking pedestrian. What's a better line? He's an avarice, but he coins himself as a stallion that wants all these experiences, and he doesn't have cock control. He doesn't have dick control at all. What it shows me is a man with no dick control. That means I can't trust you with any of my girlfriends. By the way, that's a primal fear of many women. Not all, but many. Many women who are very good-looking girls. In fact, I just did a coaching session with a couple, a twin flame couple. They're both in their 30s, thereabouts. And her fear is that her man, because of the porn addiction he has, her man, she can't bring all her gorgeous girlfriends to the house because she's afraid he might do something. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't want to put the candy on the table. And that's a primal. And when you have people like Aubrey Marcus saying, it's all good, man, let's do it, baby. And you got the Joe Rogan said, don't call out men like that. He never calls anyone out. I love Joe Rogan, don't get me wrong, but he never sits there and calls anyone out. I've never, ever seen him call him out, except after the show in another show, which is backstabbing show.
Well, he does. Thank you, Beth, for all the likes. It does show you how much he is just, he's just flying on the razor blade, trying to make sure that he keeps as many people watching. Joe Rogan's skill is really to be infinitely likable and to highlight good questions and to interview well. And that is what he does. There's no doubt about it. You know, he absolutely loves the shocking stories, the interesting interviews. And, you know, like he's had Donald Trump on his show. He's had Elon Musk on his show. He's had UFO specialists on his show. There's loads of things going on with that. And I do love his show too. I do love his show. I mean, what's not to like, I suppose. So, sorry, I seem to have stalled us there. So why did you bring up Joe Rogan?
No, because when I'm asking for divine masculines that have really clout, is to start. It's like, I know Joe Rogan's worth at least $200-300 million. I don't know, maybe more. I have no idea. But anyway, I know he has some level of integrity, but I don't see him calling people out. And this is something, no, it's really important. Like what I'll say about Mel Gibson, with all his picadillos, which I adore him, he calls shit out. Like
I have to say that, as you know, he's had his own.
I know.
He's had his own demons, alcoholism. I think he's cheated on his partners in the past, and but I will say that he does seem very much aligned with trying to do good. Even though he's had his own personal demons, he's certainly trying to do good and be shown as a force for good. I don't know of any real negative stories outside of his own personal demons. He's, you know, in a way, I love that he did the Passion of Christ and things like that, because it just shows that he's trying to bring more of that
Yeah.
morality into our lives. And I really have to put my hat off to him. That's very good.
I mean, to me, it's like, so let me ask you this. In terms of raising, because we have an incredible problem, and it is a problem, with single mothers or married mothers who are living a single life within a marriage. I'm not joking, this is very common. And so we have a lot of single mothers raising boys, because even though there's a man in the house, he's still in his depression and grief and cynical lifespan at this point, that he's not doing shit to even raise his boys into men. So it falls on us to raise our boys into men. In some parts, I was part of that.
Okay, so this kind of goes round robin. It comes right back to the beginning of what we were talking about. The green flags, the red flags, the discernment. How can you build trust? How can you build authentic connection? How can you know through observing actions that this person is somebody that you can truly be in alignment with, that you can truly have a long-term connection that does go somewhere? It is a matter of holding back on the physical connection.
Absolutely.
Take time to develop the emotional connection. Take time to show through actions, through communication, that you do align in mind, heart, and your soul is acutely aware of when something feels good and when it doesn't. And the more that you get into a physical relationship with somebody, the more you are going to come away from your innocence. And when I use the word innocence, I really mean inner sense. The sense that you were born with gets corrupted when you go sleeping around with people. You lose that innate sense that you were born with. And that's what I believe inner sense means. And when you can use that heart that you were given, that pure heart that you were born with, that I will tell you that I have seen my daughter grow up, and at the age of 4, she had the most exquisite, clear language. She didn't know all the words, but I can tell you that her heart-brain coherence has never been stronger than when she was that young.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to point out is that we can cultivate that, but it is taught out of us in culture, in school. It's taught out of us. We're taught to go into our brains and to ignore our hearts. That is what school teaches us.
Well, it's not the school. It's the people. It's these children that have been raised by pedestrian parents. That's what I call these, muggles, pedestrian parents. And so these kids are now rubbing shoulders with, I'm sorry, idiot kids. I'm sorry, based on the idiot parents.
You're absolutely right to say it. And at the moment, my daughter still goes to school, and it's difficult because culture is not geared up for community, raising children in a community with conscious parenting.
Exactly.
I just want to dive back into the Aubrey Marcus situation,
please,
but not specifically, but generally. So there's this, and this is very key to this whole situation, right? Mm-hmm. It's talking about what polyamory is, and it mentions it in a Buddhist philosophy culture, and it says, polyamory has taught me letting go of attachment to my primary partner. When you release your attachment, you truly start to understand the beauty of feeling love for multiple people. And then further down, it talks about Tantra and erotic spirituality, and it mentions it's a path to transcendence, but it warns it can often bind rather than set free. It can only be a true liberation with deep inner work. And I want to point out that the women in his relationship do not appear to be those that have done the deep inner work. So they're going to bring insecurity and deep attachment to them. Yeah. And that is going to be that's going to be hurtful for them. We know it. We see it in their expressions. We see it in how they're hoping to be led by their guru master. They have the moon eyes, don't they, for Aubrey? But
Well, you know,
but they're also betraying themselves at the same time. You see, and it's so difficult because you want to help them, you want to believe that they are going to be okay and be loved, and it'll all work out wonderfully. But there's a deep inner awareness that that's not how it's going to go.
well, but it's not how we're built. Ultimately, when you go against nature, your nature, there are people that are fundamentally polyamorous. Don't get me wrong; they're out there, right? And
Wait,
they never.
are you going to be married? Are you going to be married to one man if you're going to be truly? I mean, what does it use? It uses the words to dissolve ego.
Yeah, but can I tell you what ego? See, this is. Let me just say this: they're doing too much play. That's a term I'm coining, which
Yeah.
means too much fucking ketamine. I'm totally against ketamine. I don't give a fuck if you guys. Oh my god, you don't know. No,
I don't know what that does to a human being, but I mean,
MK Ultra used it. Teal Swan talks about how she was being brainwashed until she was 15 and ran away. They were using that on her as a child.
really,
So no, I'm done. L-ketamine is made in a lab by people who have weird ass karma. And I'm sorry, it's like the water. It's like Dr. Emoto's water study, which means water has emotions, plant has emotions. When we cook to make it prasadam, holy food, blessed food, we chant over the food. The food tastes better because we're energizing the food with a Sanskrit mantra. For example, many of you will laugh and go, "Oh, she's a kooky old lady." And I will say to you, no, I'm not. I'm telling you about energy. Energy works. If a woman, an opera singer, sings on a high note to break a glass, frequency can destroy and frequency can heal. The Rife machine is a great example. For example, that's why they destroyed it. So my point about what's going on with these women on the collective grifter example that you talked about, we are creating an egregore. This man is demonically possessed. I'm saying this not in a weird witchy poo Christian anti whatever. I'm saying that when you do too much play, that's how I'm going to say it now. Too much play. What happens is that you have a lot of holes in your auric field because he's not doing it correctly. He's not doing the four corners above and below. He's not saging himself. He's not protecting the space. He's taking it to get high. Let's be honest. Okay, let's stop the bullshit. And so he takes it, whatever he wants. He's doing that. He's doing too much ayahuasca. He's doing. He's lapping. He's literally breaking up the medicines, synthetic medicines and plant medicines. And so now he's opened his auric fields to weird, possessive, weird shit happening. But what I saw physically with these two women, Alana and Alana respectively, is that they were so intensely trying to make eye contact to prove their points. You could see the white in their eyeballs on the top of their eyelids, meaning their eyes were so wide. Like I have to open my eyes really wide to even like show. I mean, their eyes were massively wide, like a kabuki mask.
so they were seeking validation. Is that what you're saying?
Well, when people, fuck women, when men and women, when people lie, there are two things, or lie to themselves, there are two things they do. They do massive eye contact. Massive. That's a manipulation tactic. When you lie, you do, especially when you're about to lie. You totally eye contact, no, I didn't do it. And you're looking into their eyes because you know that one of the signs is looking down when you're lying. So they do eye contact when they're very good at manipulating. The other one is opening your eyes wide, which is I'm lying to myself. And you're looking up to look for the answers. When you're looking up, you're looking for memory, but it also means you're looking for something that you can hang your hat on to make sense of the lies you're telling yourself. Body language is really interesting to me, facial expression, because it shows. Her voice throat chakra was clogging up, Vylana. Alana was completely like, not once did I see her. I've seen women in massive, hard felt situations, in lives, in a podcast, in visual interviews, lean over to touch the woman's forearm or the man to give comfort. None of that was happening in the entire podcast that I saw. Come on. So there, we saw pain, and we saw two men, one on one side of the table, at the head of the table. Did you notice the psychology of how they were sitting? The girls were in the middle. I'm going to call them girls because they're not women. And the boys, because they're not men, were sitting on either side, head of the table. Every fucking thing posing was a psychological manipulation. And And right now there are people not watching enough videos. Like when this video goes out, do you know how many people are gonna watch you and I our take on it? We'll be lucky to get 20 likes. Lucky. Why? Because
And I will say this to you: it will mean something to the 20 that do, and
no,
that's what we have to care about. We have to care about those being the ones that then pass on. They align with it, and they need it, and they pass it on, and that's great. And
yeah.
so look, these entities. Let's talk about this a little bit because I think that might be beneficial to some that are listening. The biggest challenge that we have is people don't realize that when you have to lean on toxic coping mechanisms, what you're really doing is you're saying, I'm not strong enough to self-regulate with my emotions and my thoughts and my beliefs as they are. I need a crutch. I need something to lean on. And by doing that, you're really opening up yourself to influence from outside of you. And obviously, it could be a substance, it could be a bad habit. I'm not trying to pinpoint anything in specific here. Just understand that by the intention of leaning on things outside of you, you are in the words of all the manifestation techniques out there. You're saying, I'm not whole. I'm not in alignment. I'm not whole, and I need to seek something outside of me in order to feel whole. If you're in alignment, if everything is working out for you, then you need nothing outside of you. It is done. You're already whole. You're already at one with your authentic self, and everything that you need is already on its way. And so this is kind of like where it falls out of bed with the manifestation thing. If you need anything to kind of bring you back to being you, to being whole, then then you're obviously coping, right? That's why it's called a coping strategy.
But ultimately, I feel when we look at the various addictions that are prevalent in this infrastructure we live in, from very serious addictions in the homeless community, which I mean, like I say to people, please don't judge. You can never do this shit sober, being homeless. Like, don't judge people that's only become addicted to shit.
Actually, it's not really a judgment. It's just an observation of my own experience and how. I'm in a way I'm talking to myself,
Yeah. But you have to understand.
Talking to myself,
Yeah. But you have to understand that. But the elite, and we see it with what's his name? I forgot his name. That slapped the actor in the face during the Oscars or whatever.
Will Smith did that, didn't he?
So Will Smith has done. At the time when he did it, he had supposedly reported 14 trips on ayahuasca. And thank God the spiritual community is finally waking up to say they're coming out of the woodworks. This really helped launch a complete recalibration of the imbalance of the 1% in the spiritual community that were influencing people to do the wrong things and manipulate it into believing, like second guessing their own fucking spiritual compass, right? Well, who am I? I'm broke. I'm working at Walmart, or I'm working as a babysitter, or I'm a student, or I'm a single mom. I've got 2 jobs. Like how you make money doesn't make any. It doesn't create a false spiritual compass. We have to disengage from money and wisdom. We must do it. This is a fucking emergency. It is 2025. The number 9 is very, very incredibly powerful for us to manifest the new earth. We are planting seeds this year for what we're going to harvest in the next 10 years. So what we're doing right now is uprooting the weeds of the false bastards, the false prophets who are full of shit and chasing their dicks and telling everyone that they are the glorious one of the Lightbringer community. And we need to stop this bullshit now. And many of you are looking at your value based on how many people are following you. You need to take the fucking gloves off. Stop being politically fucking correct. This is why we've got the...
Sorry, just say that again. What do you mean, stop being politically correct? In what way? About what?
in the
Stop being politically correct. In what way? About what?
in the Orthodox, they were having mistresses and bastard children. He's no different than those cardinals you raise your nose up at.
Yeah.
He's just using new fraud.
Yeah. If it's something you've actually said to me, but there was I think it was a king. I'm not sure of what time period, but I think it was in the Bible, and he went through all of the single women, and he ended up going through over 1,000, which basically extinguished all of the women in the town or the village where he was, the surrounding areas. And ultimately, he would behead each one of them if he wasn't satisfied, because he was just an ego tripper, right?
Right.
And ultimately, what that demonstrates is just how baseless someone can be.
Yeah.
And it comes to the same point, right? The reason that we want morality is because look, as an elder, and I'm going to bring the elder card out now, because I class both you and I as elders. We are wise. We are wise because of the suffering that we have gone through, because of the suffering that we have seen, and because the wisdom that we can now provide because of that suffering.
Exactly.
And I will tell you, I want everyone to understand what green flags are, what red flags are, how to take your time to get to know somebody, so that you go long-term, meaningful, in-depth, emotionally rewarding connections. When you don't, you end up getting used, getting hurt, and being lonely, and being without, which is the definition of poverty, is to be without.
Yeah.
Whatever that means to you, what is it that you value the most? What is it that you're without that you value wanting? That is the reason. If you want motivation, it doesn't necessarily have to be love. It could be that you want emotional security. It could be that you want material security. And you see, to be spiritually transcendent means that, yes, you can be happy and homeless. But ultimately, even a homeless guru is suffering and unhappy. And so, like the saying goes, chop wood, carry water. Every day we must do the little we must in order to minimize our suffering. And that is a divinely guided instruction from God. Okay? We all must do this. We all must chop wood, carry must do this. We all must chop wood, carry water. The beaver does it in the river.
Yeah, but the point, you've got to be realistic also. I mean, it's all great. And
Yeah.
I agree with many points that you're saying, but the point of the reality of Americans, I can't speak for the people in the British Isles at all, and I'm not going to, because I haven't been there since I was 10. But what I will say is that in America, it has been normalized to live in your car, to be jailed for being homeless.
I do realize that.
No, but to live to work 2 to 3 jobs, 2 to 3 fucking jobs. Well, and this has been normalized. And what we have to normalize is buying land in communities. We need to normalize that. You want new earth? My friends, roll up your fucking sleeves and start prioritizing your time with saying, okay, if I'm going to do 3 jobs, I'm going to find a studio apartment. Yes, my kid needs their own bedroom, but right now we're not going to have our own bedrooms. Fuck it. We're going to have a little separator in a studio, and we're going to fucking raise money to buy land, and we're going to figure this shit out. We're going to figure this shit out. And reaching out to other people who are single mothers, who are on the spiritual path. We have a group right now, and there's some egoic bumping of heads. Okay, that is very much what's going to happen in 5D spiritual communities. And we need to learn how to navigate these egoic systems of my ego, their ego, your ego, this ego, and realize that at some point, there are some people who have more experience than others. That's all it is. I'm sorry, it's not a fucking dick slinging contest. It's a fucking reality. And I know there are shamans that I've met and gurus that I highly respect, I give my obeisance. And when I say that, I mean literally, I have met them and literally gone on my hands and knees and obey in respect to them. I have done it. I'm not asking us to do this to the elders. I'm not asking the physical, but I did it out of choice because I wanted to share and show these elders that were above me. And they were above me. They're still above me. They're not full of shit. They're still teaching their teachings. They're still fucking amazing. To show them my absolute respect, my devotion and surrender. Why? Because they were never deviating from their fucking message. Never.
Mm.
Never. The problem is they also were having a human experience. Health issues, cancer. I'm not joking. And I never took them off the pedestal because they were having human experiences. This is what I'm resenting about a lot of people in the spiritual community. Don't fucking people put people on the pedestal. Don't ever do that. But you know what? Let them fucking also be human. Why am I saying all that? Because what we need is communities. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. We need to build communities. It can't happen without each other. Understand the process of elders. Some of them are going to be full of shit. There's no question they will be. Like the Jim Jones of the world, the Oshos of the world. Stop. When people like me tell you Osho's full of shit, do your due diligence and find out why I'm saying that. He ran a sex cult. This is known by people my age. It's like we all know this except for people who are younger. And you think we're fuddy-duddies. No, he had a cult. I don't care if Diva Premal came out of that cult. I don't care if Mita came out of that cult. Good, beautiful, beautiful people came out of the cult. It's fantastic. But find out why we're saying that. We need to respect people who remembered the history, the lineages of these supposed fake prophets. And that needs to continue. You need to remember Aubrey Marcus in 20 years when other people like go back who are young, who are innocent, who think Aubrey Marcus is the fucking goat. And you as an elder who can say, yeah, I'm sorry, stop. We need to have an understanding of an infrastructure of communities that respect the elders and the elders respect the young ones. And we have this beautiful round table energy, and there will be bumping of horns. They will be. And how to maneuver out of these weird little egoic crashes. And realizing that your elder or the people you look up to, you can look up to people and realize that they may have cancer. Oh, I guess they're not good at manifesting. Look, they got cancer. Oh, they're not good at manifesting. Their person cheated. There are certain things that people are, it's written in their fucking contracts when they incarnate to experience certain things for their own business, not yours.
That's true.
You know?
We do not know what is written in each of our destinies. And
Exactly.
and look, I'm not saying destinies and
Exactly.
and look, I'm not saying that I agree with everything that's gone on, but if you understand that everyone has a path and a wisdom to share, perhaps maybe the wisdom that we learn from Aubrey is it's all right for those that can. I'm not saying that you should, but clearly he has the freedom to choose that sort of lifestyle, even though it may have some catastrophic consequences for the females involved. If they choose to, out of their own free will, be part of that, then allow them to be. But however, I would like to share the wisdom for women to have their eyes opened about what that is going to really feel like. Eyes opened about what that is going to really feel like. What is the experience of being in that sort of relationship going to feel like? If you are a female that is connected to their heart, relationship, it is one of the most difficult emotional connectional relations to be in. It's going to be full of uncomfortable emotions, jealousy, mistrust, and until you ultimately conquer your ego. But even then, are you with somebody that you truly can trust?
Well, hang on, but why would we conquer our ego? We don't need to conquer it. We need to train it. The monkey mind needs to be trained. Jealousy, there's multiple levels of jealousy. There's healthy jealousy.
There's a reason and a purpose to it. Yes, I agree.
There's some levels of jealousy that's not completely toxic. Kind of like Thich Nhat Hanh about his book on anger. Some anger isn't toxic. It's just righteous anger. This is what people don't understand. So there's some a lot, but some toxic again, some toxic jealousy. Like I've seen women go off being jealous of a man's sister. Are you fucking? What's wrong with you, bitch? I mean, that's
Mm,
stupid. What's wrong with you, bitch? I mean, that's
mm,
stupid jealousy. We're being jealous of the like for example, you're raising a child single, and I'm saying this because I need to honor you for that. But there are women that are jealous of the man they're dating's daughter, little 12-year-old daughter, or 9-year-old daughter, or 9-year-old
yeah.
boy. You spend a lot of time with him. I've had to call women out and go, hang on now, stop. You are actually putting down a masculine father, a masculine who wants to make his child a priority, as he should, bitch. I didn't say bitch, but as he
Yeah.
should, I said. And what do you, I don't understand, where are you coming from? That is, you should actually support that. Yes, he should be with that kid. Yes, that is the number one person on the planet, is that child. Back the fuck off, bitch. If you can't handle that, back the fuck off. That kind of jealousy is deviant as fuck in my book. But what I did say to you, and we had a discussion, Water Bear, a week ago, and I said to you, and this is something you didn't know, right? Which a lot of men don't know. There's something that happens when women are in their 40s, late 40s, early 50s, where they will realize that their man is ogling women, has strayed, and they will then set up a high class coral girl or a woman. They'll pick up a woman and offer this woman as a gift. I swear to God, this happens so much because women in their 40s or 50s go through a life crisis where they don't feel like they're enough. And so now they want to offer this young woman into their bedroom. This happens so much, it's insane. And so we also have to try to re-educate people with their ego and realizing that the ego
And
is something that
why
the
do you
ego.
think that's happening? Because it seems to me like from a deep-seated insecurity of feeling like they're not worthy, they're not enough, or that they would lose their partner if they didn't do something like this to kind of honour the masculine in a way. I'm
Well,
not saying that I agree with it. I actually feel that that's quite a damaging act for a woman to do.
well, but this is why I talked about polyamory. I talked about it a couple lives back, where I talked about a lot of influencers that I was watching. One of them was a monogamous relationship. I can't remember her name. I wish I could give it to you guys, but suffice it to say, they had a beautiful marriage. They lived in Bali, and suddenly they were on the hunt for the unicorn woman to bring into their bed. Now, please note, these people were probably at most 27 to 30. Okay, so they brought this woman into their bed. She was a unicorn. What does that mean? She was never going to try to get the man away from her. She was like the perfect woman that would just have the sexual experience with both of them. It destroyed their fucking relationship.
Of course, it would. I mean,
It,
what you're really talking about is at that point the 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 magic or the essence of the relationship needs to deepen into the heart center because the physical part of the connection
right,
becomes less and less important the older you get.
right,
I'm not saying touch isn't important, absolutely touch. I'm talking about the sex part of the
right,
relationship.
right.
It should be less and less important. The mind and the heart connection should be the strongest part of your emotional and relational synergy. That's where all the juice is. When you start getting over the age of 50, 55, it's absolutely no longer the priority. Yes, you have physical intimacy if you still can, if it's still something that you can do and want to and enjoy together. But the heart and mind connection could and should be as strong and strengthening into the older years. That is the joy of an intimate connection. And I just
But
want to point I just want to point something out that
please,
Nikola Tesla, he fell in love with a pigeon.
yeah,
He had a deep heart connection with a pigeon. I have an emotional heart connection with my cat.
yeah,
I'm pointing out here, and obviously my daughter. We
yeah.
we share obviously a daughter father connection. My point is that heart brain coherence is something that all living beings share, and why isn't it something that is deeply revered in marriage in later years. It's almost shoved under the carpet as unimportant. And everything we see in the media is X, 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 X. And that is just not the priority. It shouldn't be. What do you say to that?
Well, I'm smiling because
If
when
you still can, of course, it's an important. But
but it's funny because I was coaching these young people, right? Because I'm realizing that people aren't having great sex, and they're not having great intimate moments that last. And when I say moments, I mean 3-4 hour long moments that will turn into a sexual fucking whatever, or tantric lovemaking. It doesn't have to always be tantra. It doesn't have to be fucking. It can be mindless sometimes, of course. But you have to understand, when me and my twin got back together, again, just for those of you who don't know me, I met my twin at 18, he was 33, and 33 years later we were in union. And the union, so at that time I'm 51, he's 66. And the savoring of that energy was not just because we've been in separation, because 5 years later, that was still happening. We were still savoring each other before coitus, before actually entering each other's bodies. And I'm amazed at how people don't understand how intimacy works. Intimacy is falling asleep on a blanket in the beach. Intimacy,
absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah,
is literally laying down in bed and listening to an audiobook that's on an esoteric subject and putting on hold and talking and laughing softly. Intimacy is walking around nude in the land you own, or the land you're in the land you own, or the land you're renting, and making lunch. Intimacy is laying in bed and not looking to have sex, listening to beautiful high frequency music, and the hand of your man on your hip, just grazing your hip, and you hearing his heartbeat and the breath work, his breath, and then him maybe doing some pranayama, and you're hearing, and then you're copying him. And I don't understand where we think it's all about fucking. Where are people learning tantric movement?
I've just got to point out that music, which is probably the most influential part of our culture, it is pointing out too much the carnal nature of humans, and not enough on what intimacy is, on what connection is. It's the shallowness of the physical intimacy is very sad in our culture. But look, we're aware of it, and we're sharing that knowledge. I'm going to have to go, unfortunately, but I think we've really touched on a very beautiful subject to finish with.
I want to thank you for being here. We're going to set this up on YouTube. Water Bear Medicine is also going to set it up on his YouTube channel. Follow his book on YouTube. Some don't know what real intimacy is, unfortunately. Absolutely, Joanne Goddess. They don't. And we honestly, please follow Water Bear Medicine. If you're not following me, please follow me as well. Follow us both on YouTube. Please, I will upload this on YouTube, and your pamphlet that you want to put together.
Yeah, I'll make sure that is ready tomorrow, and so that you can go up with that in the show notes description. Lovely.
Okay, and then if I'm going to let you go, but if anyone wants to jump on this live right now to continue, if there's anyone that wants to add their 2 cents, Water Bear, it's always an honor to have you. I just want to make sure that if Andromeda Flame wants to step up, I'm not sure if you want to step up, but thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. You're the best. You really are the best.
Take care. We'll talk again soon. Thank you, Tony.
Right. Namaste. Be well. Does anybody want to jump in that I know? If you want to jump in, feel free to jump in. I'm going to do some oracle cards real quick. Because, I play with my oracle cards when we do these lives. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you can hear that. Great. I'm inviting you as a guest. Because I would love to get your feedback. Oh, thank God. Okay, Andromeda, I'm so glad you're here. Andromeda. Oh, no, not again. You're gonna... Okay, so I introduce. All right. So unfortunately, be patient with us. She'll be muting throughout the live. For whatever reason, it's starting to echo whenever she's on. So Andromeda Flame is a twin ray in union, and she's incredibly brilliant. And the empathy, please follow her right now. Like, you're on it right now. Please follow her right now. She's amazing. Go ahead and if you could give us your feeling about Aubrey Marcus, about what's going on in the polyamory community, what's going on in the new age, the toxic new age deviant community. If you could just take it away, my love. It's all yours.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd also like to mention the flotilla as well, because I was on a live. There was a live on Instagram, but I'll talk about that afterwards. The thing that's so talk about that afterwards. The thing that's so damaging about all of this is that this narcissistic man, Aubrey Marcus, is gaslighting the women in his life and gaslighting all of his followers. And it's almost as if he's trying to test, or someone's trying to test, just how gullible people are, right? He's reeled people in with his shtick about monogamy and how, monogamy is the way, and he's a, born again, he's born again monogamous. And now he's come out and he's talking about polyamory as though it is some kind of spiritual quest. The other thing that's really significant, and you did touch on this earlier, Tony, is that he felt sick when he supposedly got this download. Now those of you who are getting downloads, okay, who understand what it feels like to get downloads, if you're getting nausea, if you're getting pain, that is a corrupted download. And the fact that he either lacks the spiritual compass, or he assumes everyone else lacks the spiritual compass, to say that is a corrupted download is very, very telling. This is a narcissist who is controlling, who is manipulative, and who is harmful to other human beings. And if you are following him, you need to not follow him, or at least follow him with extreme discernment, because what he is preaching is deeply dangerous to the ascension, to divine unions, to relationships in general. I'm not polyamorous. Okay, full disclosure, I'm not. And I don't entirely understand how polyamory can work. And that's not because I'm a jealous person. That's because the energy exchange, particularly in a divine union, the energy exchange is incredibly important. And it's through the energy exchange that you get the beautiful healing, the togetherness, the closeness, the downloads, actually, through that very sacred energy exchange. If you're throwing your energy here, there, and everywhere, you're not only going to diminish the power of a divine union, and I'm not just talking about twins, I'm talking about high level soulmates, I'm talking about somebody with whom you have a wonderful relationship, but you're going to dilute it, and you're also going to potentially be taking on the negative energy of the other person you're sleeping with, and then passing that on to your divine counterpart. So this is a massively dangerous thing. And there's a toxicity in the spiritual community that, thou shalt not judge, right? What a load of BS, okay?
Yeah.
Of course we judge. And I said this on the last live I was on with you, Tony, right? Hands up who doesn't judge Bonnie Blue.
Yeah.
Just hands up, right? We all do it. We all judge, and we all need to judge. When you walk into a room and the energy feels off, do you judge that energy feels off? Yes, you do, because it's protective. So massive toxicity, massive potential harm, and not enough people calling it out in the right way. A lot of women are obviously very, very triggered about this, because again, it's not for me to say, but perhaps they've been hurt. Perhaps they've been in a situation of forced polyamory. Perhaps they have other sexual trauma. And it's entirely understandable why they would be triggered, but we need to be looking at the bigger picture here. What is this about? And it is about undermining divine partnerships, divine unions. And there's an agenda at play here. And the agenda is that the divine union is an incredibly powerful, energetic force. It is not just for the couple, it is for the collective, it is for the healing of planet Earth and Pachamama. So let's not forget that this is an agenda at play. If you're listening to him or listening to anyone like him or anyone who is connected with him, take that message through your heart and ask yourself, how does it feel? How is my body reacting to this? To these words, to this body language, to that man's eyes? Right? Listen. Sorry, go ahead.
His eyes are like black bean. They're like black beans, meaning there's nothing there. There's no shine. I've seen, it's funny because my twin taught me this through Carlos Castaneda, the shine of a warrior's eyes. I'm not joking. When I'm really in my power, my eyes shine. My twin's eyes always shone. Always. I'm not kidding. And what I saw with Aubrey Marcus is no shine. So that shows me that even all that money, all that pussy, none of that shit is making him, his mojo's not there. The thing is, what I'm asking many of you to do, and many of you follow me, and I thank you for following me in Andromeda Flame, is I need you guys to start asking these motherfucking, fucking supposed, influencers of the New Age community to take their fucking gloves off. Stop with the fucking mincing around, tiptoeing around the tulips. Take your fucking gloves off. Stop fucking using words that have been described by the social media machine. Do not get Orwellian in your language. Andromeda Flame is the one that has really pushed me. Read 1984. I'm like, I don't fucking want to read that fucking. I read Brave New World and Brave New World Revisited. I don't want to read this shit. It's gonna fucking make me into, I'm gonna go into depression. But I'm taking pieces of it. I'm doing a chapter a week. I'm not joking. It's really difficult to read this shit. But trust me, we are Orwellian in the Orwell of literally deconstructing our emotions. Please look at George Carlin on language and politically correct language. Please watch him again. We need to stop this shit. And many of these supposed influencers are influencing us to become demure. Remember the name? Demure. It's so demure. They were doing that for almost damn near half a year until people like me and Andromeda came out with our gloves off going, fuck you with demure. Please ask these people to stop. Just stop. Oh, I don't want to judge. I don't know what to say. I really think Aubrey Marcus is a really nice, charming guy. No, he's a piece of shit. And serial killers have a smile on their face. That's why they're successful. Okay, but we're looking at somebody who's serial in his ability to destroy women. His ex, who was the polyamorous female relationship he was in, where he was jealous of her having sex with other men. That woman, she went on Instagram saying, I have taken years of my life healing from his betrayal, from the fucking debacle. That's the woman he left for Vylana, by the way. Okay? So my point to you is that we can't be the only ones taking the gloves off. Go ahead. Please, Andromeda.
It's interesting that you mentioned 1984. I mean, it's been years since I read it, but there's a very interesting part. I mean, George Orwell definitely knew shit, right? He was definitely downloading. And one of the things, so they restrict thought through restricting language. That's the whole point, okay? And they restrict your movements, and they enforce all sorts of things. And there's a brilliant scene in the cafeteria where they're all talking about, that the chocolate rations have increased, when actually the chocolate rations have decreased. But they were told that they were so controlled by that stage that they believed that the reduction in number was actually an increase. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the establishment boasts that it has that the dictionary is now so thin because of Newspeak. That's their language. But one other thing they do, and this is really important in 1984, is that they try to eradicate the orgasm. Okay. Now, why would you try to eradicate that? Well, because it's incredibly, there are several reasons. Firstly, root chakra. Okay. Very, very, very healing for the root chakra. In fact, all chakras. But also the power of manifestation through sex magic. Okay. When that veil is thinner, when you're at peak kind of bliss. Okay. So they're very, 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 very important spiritual, as well as political, as well as moral messages within 1984. And if anybody here hasn't read it, I urge you to read it. It's absolutely essential reading. But the demure thing as well. Yeah, I was thinking about. I was watching Swan Lake earlier, and I was thinking, the white swan is demure, okay, and the black swan is she's the Jezebel, right? So again, you've got this split, right, where the feminine is portrayed as either Madonna or whore. There's no in between. Okay, you cannot be a sexual, sensual woman. And proud of it and respectful of your own body, respectful of your own boundaries. Well, they cannot put you into one of those boxes, can they? You can't either be the Madonna or the whore, okay? You're actually a high priestess, okay, when you've mastered your own sexual energy. But yeah, I mean, this is a incredibly damaging, incredibly divisive. It's part of the spiritual assault that we're experiencing at the moment. And the agenda is very much keeping divine unions from happening, or unions between sacred masculines and sacred feminines.
And see why.
Well, because the incredible healing effect that the energy of those unions has, right? When you have a divine couple in union, that energy not only affects them and their ascension, but it affects the wider collective. Now, we are here for a very wider collective. Now, we are here for a very specific reason. Okay? There is no, and it'll bring me on to the next thing as well. There's no accident, okay, that the amount of brutality on Earth seems to be accelerating and expanding at quite an alarming rate. Yes. It's no accident that this is strengthening and enhancing the egregores of fear, of greed, of despair. And why is that? Well, this is because we are in like no man's land, okay, between Kali Yuga and Satya Yuga. We're in no man's land between 3D and 5D. And there are interests in keeping us in 3D. So if we wish to ascend, and it's not just for us, this is for planet Earth, this is for humanity, this is for all sentient life on this planet. If we wish to ascend, we've got to start opening our eyes to these things, but opening our eyes in the right way. Do not let fear set in. Right? Aubrey Marcus, we see you. We see what you're trying to do. Whether you're conscious of it or not is not really the point, because whoever's pulling your strings, you're doing their bidding. And it's the same with, if I could kind of segue into Palestine.
Please, go.
Yeah. So I was on a live earlier. I've been tracking the Freedom Flotilla. And for those of you who don't know, there is a quite small boat that has sailed from Sicily and is only a few hours away from arriving in Gaza with food, baby food, medicines on board and 12 crew. and they'd set up GPS, and a lot of us were actually tracking the progress. Well, it got to about 160 nautical miles away from the Gazan coast when it all went dark, and the crew received notice that they were going to be intercepted by Israeli vessels. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I really, really hope that you do, I really hope that the importance of what's going on there is clear to everybody on this live. But if you don't know, there has been a blockade on all aid getting through to Gaza since mid-March. And the effect of that is that the humanitarian crisis is deepening. Babies are dying of starvation. Children are becoming sick. And the physical bombardment continues. So injuries are happening, and this is now a severely malnourished population. So the Freedom Flotilla was actually a fleet of vessels, but one of the vessels was already attacked. So this one ship remains and is delivering some aid. Now, the amount of aid it's delivering is not going to solve the problem, but it is the symbolic stand of those of us who believe in humanitarianism, standing up against Geno, because I don't think we're allowed to say that word on TikTok.
Okay, we have coined a term that you may want to use. We're not calling them Zios anymore, we're calling them zombies. So that's the new code word, zombie. So these zombies have decided to harm people who are collectively going through a massive collective suffering, which if you're on your ascension, I'm actually going to appeal to your selfish side. Fuck it. On your selfish side. And Andromeda, I want you to take it away with this. So on the selfish side, that this is impacting your ascension. How people die is as important as how they live, by the way. And when people are forced to suffer to the last breath, especially children, pregnant women, breastfeeding women that can't breastfeed because there's not enough water, no access to water, to lactate, all of these things, it affects your ascension. And this is why I get very pissed off with the spiritual community, crickets on this subject. Very much cricket. All my lives, my content on TikTok has nothing. You'll barely see any. In fact, nothing. Okay, but on my on my YouTube, you'll see all kinds of lies where I've been talking about what's been going on with the Geno by those zombies way back in November of 2023, which is why I was shadow banned. I'm still being shadow banned. So take it away, because we need to appeal to the spiritual aspect of why this is important. See, we just lost 2 people because they don't want to hear it. Okay. They don't want to. Go ahead.
I mean, it is not good enough to call yourself spiritual if you're going to look away when something like this happens. And just ask yourself these questions. Why is this happening where it is happening? Okay, and you can talk about 1948, and you can talk about all the wars that have happened, and you can talk about the intifadas, and you can talk about resistance. You can talk about all of that. But there's a very significant thing about this particular area. And this of course is the area where Yeshua was born, where Yeshua met Mary of Magdalena, where they married, where they consummated their union, and where they conceived and had a child. The olive trees which are being destroyed right now in Palestine, both Gaza and the West Bank, were standing when Yeshua walked this earth. Now just breathe in the significance of that. So why would there be an interest in destroying that legacy, destroying that area, destroying those people? And it's very, very clear. And I'm not going to, I don't know, Tony, I think maybe giving people the answers isn't the right way to do it. But perhaps just pointing you to the Templars, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
And the Templars were charged with finding the Holy Grail. And what is the Holy Grail? The Holy Grail isn't a chalice, right? It's not like, the Monty Python, right, In Search of the Holy Grail film. But the Holy Grail was essentially the fruit of Yeshua and Mary Magdalena's union. And that was a child, that was a bloodline. Also, they both had siblings. Yeshua had siblings and Mary had siblings. So there would have been bloodline in that part of the world. Of course, Mary of Magdalena took their daughter and went to France, we're told, okay, after Yeshua's crucifixion. However, it's highly, highly probable that there were blood relations of both Mary Magdalena and Yeshua in Palestine existing today. And what has happened over the past essentially 75 years is that this population has been corralled into ever smaller areas and then attacked. And this is massively significant. I would go so far to say as the side, not even the side, but if you cannot stand up against the inhumanity that we are all witnessing at the moment, then you're not ascending. You are not going to ascend. This isn't just a test. This is a physical representation in corporeal form of the spiritual battle. So make sure you know where your heart is and make sure you know why. Because if you're not standing up for humanity now, you will not ascend. It's that serious.
Nothing mentioned.
You there, Tony?
Then we're done. They do not have,
Tony?
then we're done. They do not have a spiritual compass. They have a very selfish, self-aggrandizement, self-important compass. It's all about them, their likes, their followers, not stepping into dog shit, not shaking the cage. And to be a spiritualist, and again, Yeshua is a perfect template of that. You shake the fucking cage. You kick the merchants' tables. You make people uncomfortable. You call them out. Because they're oppressing other people's right to exist, right to live, right. You don't have to pay to play. In other words, we're paying taxes over taxes over taxes. This is not okay. What the fuck? Robin Hood is a goddamn archetype of that. The hero that realizes the injustice of that. And so to me, to be a true spiritualist, and yes, okay, a true spiritualist calls out bullshit, kicks the merchant tables, and makes people uncomfortable. You have to become, in a sense, the dark empath. So you do sometimes the wrong things to create the right things. That's right. And if you can't do it yourself because you don't think you have enough movement, watch. Alex Jones was doing that. He's not a great example, trust me, but he did a lot of, he was really pushing, people's buttons. And most of the shit he said, I didn't agree with, to be honest. But guess what? He got following. Sometimes to make people uncomfortable makes them follow you. Joe Rogan has had people that he interviewed that were really anti-heroes. And David Icke really pushed people's buttons. But they're making a living off that. Trust your fucking voice. Trust your passions. Trust your irreverence. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be really, really important. And many of you are being lobotomized without you knowing it with, the code words and unalive and that word. That word is fucking horrible. That's the worst word on something that's horrific. Find new ways to say it. Their lives were torn out of their hands. Zombies for motherfuckers who are rabid zombies. Let's come up with new fucking words that are evocative of the horror of the injustice. We're going to have to become very clever. Does that make sense? So you're not flagged as much, but you're still saying some really hard things, and it is evocative of the horror. That's appropriately that should be appropriately being pulled out of people's consciousness. That's really important that we don't play the fucking language game with these motherfuckers, and they are fuckers. I'm sorry, they're not here to fucking make you happy. They're not here to save you. They don't give a fuck. That's why we have to stick together. Your thoughts, my love?
I absolutely love that, and I love your portrayal of Yeshua. I mean, the Christian teaching, right, of Yeshua is of this this almost otherworldly of this almost otherworldly peaceful being. Yeshua was a sacred rebel, and we all as spiritual warriors, we love, absolutely, we love with everything that we are, but we have passion, we have fire, and we have a rebellious spirit. And we may well be isolated from those who are not ready to or do not wish to hear. And that's okay. We've got to accept that, just as Yeshua had to accept it. But Yeshua was at his heart a rebel. And this is why he was targeted. This is why he was humiliated and tortured, because he was a rebel, kicking over the merchants' tables, challenging the establishment. That was Yeshua. And if you want to walk in Yeshua's steps, and there are no better steps to walk in, if you want to walk in Yeshua's steps, not through Christian dogma, not through this idea that he was that he was, you know, celibate, walking on water. He may well have walked on water, but this celibate being who didn't have a temper. You know, righteous anger is so important, and it's so important to express that. And because our language is being curtailed, again, back to Orwell, because our language is being curtailed, we have to find different ways to express ourselves. And we express ourselves through language. Allow your heart, allow your throat chakra to open and speak these words.
Metaphorically.
Yeah.
Use metaphorically. And then what we do is we go around, we get around the bullshit of unalive and grape. You believe people are using the word grape like grapes? First of all, do you know what we're doing on a collective level? Putting grape with rape? Fuck it, I'm going to say it. We are actually putting that energy in a fucking fruit on an egregoric level. This is dangerous shit, my friend. Like, I'm not eating grapes for a while. Let me put it that way. I don't want that in my body. Because collectively, and I started that with not Che Guevara, who the fuck was I? Chavez. I forgot his first name. On the pesticides they were putting on grapes when I was a little in the 70s. Okay, this was a big thing. It was a big movement, and I was part of it. Is when we connect violent acts against human beings and then change the word forced by social media, we create an egregore on that energy, on the food. So grape is a no. It's their root chakra was ravaged in a barbaric manner. Everyone's going to understand what the fuck you just said. There's no conversation. No one is going to second guess that. Is it clear what I just said? That's how you say it. And what you do is you preface it by saying, because that's your power as a content creator. Grape, I'm not using that word. Here's what I'm going to tell you what it is. And then what I just said, you say, or something of your own creation. Stringing words that are so evocative and violent, people get it. And they get pissed off in the right reason, for the right reason. And they should. Because when you say the word grape, would you like a bunch of grapes? Should I feed you grapes? Oh, she was graped. Do you see what just happened here? What are your thoughts, my love, on that?
It also sanitizes things which should not be sanitized, right? It diminishes the horror of horrific things. So, equating a horrendous, violent, terrifying, and injurious experience that a human can have, reducing that to what is actually a beautiful fruit, it's incredibly dangerous. It allows, it's the same as the word unalived, right? You've sanitized something brutal, and we shouldn't be sanitizing that. We should be raw about it. And our language may well be restricted on this app. However, we can use other language. And I really like what you said about that, Tony. I think it's really important, because what happens? What's the spiritual consequence of restricting language? You restrict expression. And when you restrict expression, you damage the throat chakra.
Exactly.
So they've got us in the root and they've got us in the throat.
Exactly. And that's zombies, which is appropriate. What are zombies? It's pretty evocative, isn't it? Calling them zombies. That's what they are. They're zombies. Because what are zombies? It's a hive mentality of barbarism, isn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's appropriate, because it's. I mean, the only slight issue I have with the word zombie, and I think it's probably the best word that we have, is that zombies are seen as unconscious.
Well, they are.
No. But what I mean is they're almost seen as if the evil has taken them over and they're not responsible for their actions. When
in a way, Andromeda, they are unconscious. Evil has taken them over, but the only thing is, even zombies are responsible. It's the only. Do you understand? Like, I don't think. Let's not forget, every act. I don't care. Even a lion is responsible. When a male lion decides to eat the cubs, that's. I'm sorry that that male lion has accrued karma. I mean, end of story. So let's go back to zombies. They're unconscious. It's a hive mentality. They're brainwashed. Evil has overtaken them. There's no other way to explain that kind of pure fucking satanic evil. The word satanic evil is appropriate. Are they responsible? Absolutely. But that is probably a better word that will actually help you, all of us who are talking about what's happening in that part of the world. You'll be able to actually coin that word and fucking spread it out, so that's how we can say us unmolested, so that you're not being fucking shadow banned, at least for a while. I'm shadow banned again. Trust me, I can tell. So go ahead and argue the point, though. Why?
Yeah. No, I agree. As I said, I think it's the best word we have to explain this utter abandonment of any humanity.
Yeah.
And that's what zombies do. They completely they become taken over by something, whether it is hatred, it is supremacy, it's entitlement, whatever, right? They become taken over by something, and they abandon any sense of empathy, any sense of humanity, any sense of love. They become incapable of love. Yeah. Okay, and what is the energetic effect? Those of us who are sensitive to energy are feeling, right? That we're feeling the energetic effect of what is happening in that part of the world. It doesn't matter how many thousands of miles you are away from that part of the world. We are all connected. We are all one. And there's a total lack of understanding of unity consciousness when people are behaving in this way. Even on that live I was on, Tony, I mean, Bizanne was actually on that live, by the way. Good. Yeah, so she actually spoke, and it was great to see her. And there were some people saying, Bizanne, why don't you leave some food for the starving children? Like somebody actually commented that.
Wow.
And it just shows you how soulless, you know, even if some of these people were born with souls, their souls have left their body. Their soul isn't having this. You know, they look into the eyes of some of these people. Again, use your discernment, use your heart. And if you haven't, you know, there are several, you know, documentaries that are not biased at all. They're simply factual. Right? Watch the Louis Theroux documentary. Watch No Other Land, the film that actually won an Oscar. Watch these films and actually find out what's happening over there, because your media, your alphabet channels, they're not going to tell you.
No.
Because they're putting an agenda. You know, Gary Lineker was sacked from the BBC. I don't know if you saw that, Tony. But Gary Lineker was a very successful footballer in his time and then became a sports commentator. And he was making comments about the Geno, okay? And he was forced to leave his job at the BBC because of impartiality.
Wow.
And he was subsequently interviewed, and he said, you know, he said, you don't have to be impartial about whether it's raining outside. Right, that was his answer.
No, people are losing their job. That's the whole point. Many of us, when I first came out doing lives on Gaza, it was crickets for like almost 6 months. Like I lost a lot of clients. And I didn't give a fuck, because I don't want to work with a human being who thinks that this is okay and it's nuanced. Fuck off. Thank you very much. Like, don't let the door hit you in the ass, please. Like, please hurry on off. But I'm more interested in when I work with, like, in hypnotherapy, Andromeda will tell me, I'll send the money back if I don't think someone's ready. Like, it's not like I don't need the money, don't get me wrong, but I will send the money back because I want the person to be ready. Not in my timing, their timing. So in the spiritual community, we have to demand integrity from people like me. We have to demand passion in calling out injustice from people like me and people like Andromeda. That should be part of who you follow. And if these motherfuckers aren't saying, I don't care if they're your friends. Oh, but they're so nice. Say something. Say something. Because if you're not saying anything about this, then I don't know about your path. I really don't. You need to say something. This is what's so beautiful about the ginger and black community that came out, and the gingers are talking about how they have been treated like shit. They've been sexualized, they've been bullied, and they've been treated like shit. It's kind of like the black kid that goes to an all-white school, that kind of situation, right? And yeah, it's very similar. And so there's a similar aspect. And of course, there's always black people and white people that will try to fuck up brotherly, sisterly love because they're so miserable and they want to bring their misery into the collective consciousness, which we're not about in the spiritual community. This is why we're calling it ancient wisdom. Andromeda Flame and I, we call it ancient wisdom. We don't call it New Age because we feel the New Age community is so fucking corrupt. It's all about me and my likes. It's all about my 1.5 million fucking followers. And that is toxic. And a lot of people aren't showing up. I'm not joking. A lot of people I followed aren't showing up. To be fair, Joe Dispenza, who I love, hasn't showed up on that subject. A lot of them have kept silent. And that is problematic for me. What are your thoughts on that? Because this is a problem to me.
I think it's massively problematic. I don't think you can call yourself spiritual if you're not speaking out against blatant inhumanity. And it's not about what color your skin is, what religion you follow, if you do follow one, or where in the world you were born. If you cannot recognize gross inhumanity and call it out, you have no right to say that you're on the ascension path. And that is it is as simple as that. Now, the new age label is really starting to piss me off. It's just a bunch of people who want to get their rocks off, who want to get high, and want to, you know, sit in circles and sing kumbaya and make money. It's not really about spirituality. Some of it is about control. Some of it is about, you know, people who are looking for community, and unfortunately some people who are genuinely interested in spirituality get sucked in. This is ancient wisdom, and I'm not just talking about ancient wisdom on this planet. I'm talking about the other planets that we've lived. I am talking about cosmic wisdom. I'm talking about wisdom from your spirit guides, wisdom from source.
Exactly.
Right.
Anything else you want to do? I want to for the collective. So anything else you want to say, Andromeda, before I jump into doing a throw? I'm being called to do a multiple card throw, and then we'll choose from the Kali Oracle the message for all of those of you who have been listening, so we can see what the message is. But I want you to be there so you have final comments on the throw. What else did you want to touch on before I start on this?
I suppose just to reiterate the importance of spiritual hygiene at the moment more than ever. With all of the propaganda that we're being fed, with all of the nonsense that is being talked, and with all of with all of the brutality that's happening, your discernment needs to be really on point, and you get there by doing daily chakra work, by meditating, by connecting with your chakras and connecting with your body and connecting with your guides. So if you don't have a spiritual hygiene habit, get into it now. You're really, really going to need your chakras to be functioning correctly. Don't, you know, try not to be taken in by false promises and false prophets.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and do it's a reading. It's from the, let me tell you what cards I'm using so you guys know. It's Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell, Work Your Light. Then after that, I'll be doing a particular, and then I want you to jump in if you can and tell us your final words on this. This is an oracle reading on all of you. It's for you, whether you're on YouTube listening to this. Believe me, if you came onto this on YouTube, it's for you. All right, so tell me what they need to understand. It says, Lemuria, creating heaven on earth, it's happening. Let me repeat. I'm so happy. Lemuria, creating heaven on earth, it's happening. Okay, card 1. I'm doing 6 cards on this. Tell me more. It's saying the great gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. Next, break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Oh my God, this is this is for you, ladies and gents. This is for you. Tell me more, please. Imra, I am Rama. Where are you being called to journey to? I love this. I'm going to actually repeat it after when we're all together. No, wait, postpone, pause, say no. Okay, whatever you think you need to do by duty, don't do it. Deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. Some of you need rest. Some of you need recalibration. Some of you have been actually getting your ass kicked physically. You're exhausted, and it's because your heart, it might be thumping, your throat chakra. You might be having throat issues, headaches, migraines, whatever. Your DNA is being activated to take on new light codes of ascension. Let me repeat what you guys got. Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. The great gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. Break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. I'm Rama. Where are you being called to journey to? No, wait, postpone, pause, say no. Deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. Because it's saying retreat, be held, I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to do the Kali Oracle, and you'll be involved. Transformation. Things are changing at a cellular level. Deep healing. You can't make that. What did I just say to you guys? Many of you are going through the ascension downloads, and your physical body needs to be upgraded, and it's a pain body activation to get you ready. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go and do the Kali Oracle. That's the energy that is going to tell you no bullshit information. And this is where you come in, and I want you to go ahead and pick top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Majority wins. Top, bottom, and middle. You all win, but you know what I'm saying. Top, bottom, and middle. At any point now, type it in. Top.
I'm going to go top.
Got it. Top. Oh, top. We're on top. Okay, let me read it. Top is 34, which is the journey. 34 is 7. We just talked about journeying within. Okay, perfect. So 34, the image of the Kali, one of the Kali faces is Kuru Kula. Kuru Kula. All right, the number is 34. I'm going to give you the page number in the Kali Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Bear with me. And I'm going to read it to you. Close your eyes while I read. I want you to really feel it in your body. I want you to feel it. Okay? All right. So this is page 177. Okay. 7 is 14. Adding 1, that's 15. 15 in tarot is the devil. That's okay. It's also in tarot 6. 6 is the choice of the lovers. 6 is connected to Venus, the Venetian elders, the Venetian council. 6 is connected to love. Let's begin. She is vibrant red, pulsating with the feminine power of enlightened activity, infusing our hearts with her capacity for sacred sorcery to conjure and create according to love's guiding wisdom. To receive the divine inheritance of blessings and support for sacred fulfillment, certain karmic conditions that resonate at a lower frequency need to be cleared away. This entire live was about lower frequencies, karmic loops. Certain karmic conditions that resonate at a lower frequency need to be cleared away. The lesson is to release, to receive. Kurukula symbolizes a time of rapid movement on your life path and freedom to attract what you need and want. However, you must be willing to let go of negativity, that which does not belong in your world. Kurukula is a shamanic folk goddess who was adopted into the spiritual tradition of Hinduism, Buddhism. Kurukula is one of the Kali Nityas, the medicine goddess of the waning moon cycle, a powerful sorceress, enchantress, and conqueror of enemies. Hers is the realm of magnetism and charisma, spellcrafting, and the power of attraction. She has 1 face, 3 eyes, 4 arms with skin that is a deep red. In Tibetan Buddhist medicine, red is associated with the power to attract and the power to subjugate negative energies. Her hooked sword represents her semi-wrathful nature. She can magnetize or repel as needs to be, overcoming negativity in all dimensions and from every direction. Kurukula is revered as a beguiling yet potentially ferocious emanation of the otherwise serene goddess Red Tara. With her short fangs exposed and an expression somewhere between friendly and fierce, and her 3 eyes, she sees all and frightens away that which causes trouble, while attracting that which enhances joy, bliss, and sacred passions. One of the powers that Kurukula bestows is the ability to remain open to life without fear. Sometimes, due to past experiences of pain, we close ourselves off from life in an effort to avoid further harm. In doing so, we may unwittingly close ourselves off from the gifts meant for us. While seeking solitude and sanctuary as a time to heal is a wise practice, we need to take care that we remain open to life. We need to balance a heightened need for personal space, essential for particularly sensitive souls, with healthy and nourishing connections. Otherwise, we could experience depression, profound fatigue, through essentially cutting ourselves off from the revitalizing nature of life itself. Kurukula's ability to simultaneously attract the beneficial and repel the negative is an extraordinary blessing. Her spiritual talents allow us to pursue our paths with eagerness, openness, and enthusiasm, while trusting that any exploitative, sabotaging, or otherwise unworthy energies will not be able to cause harm. If you have felt an inner conflict around being open, but have also felt the need to self-protect, perhaps due to your sensitivity to psychic energies. The oracle brings peace. In connection to Kurukura, we can be powerfully defendant without being defensive and incredibly open without being vulnerable to negative influences. For the sensitives and empaths among us who struggle with picking up unwanted energies from others, she is a glorious savoress. She empowers openness combined with effective boundaries. This brings more peace and relaxation to the heart, which in turn enhances our capacity to attract what we wish into our lives. While Kurukula carries a bow and an arrow, which symbolizes her power as a warrior goddess and her ability to set us on the right course, her aim is always true, her delivery swift. When we connect with her in a reading, our progress shall be rapid like the arrow, speedily flying through the air. We shall hit our mark because our direction is correct and our focus honed. Her presence supports us to gain clarity on where our energies need to go and clear away distractions or ineffective methods and strategies. When she appears in a reading, be ready to move swiftly on the opportunities that arise and feel faithfully aligned with your heart. Her presence also signifies that if something isn't resonating, then do not hold on to out of fear. Let it go. Trust that the divine knows how to resolve any complicating factors. Despite her status as a goddess of magnetic attraction, Kurukula doesn't resonate with clutter. Her fierce side repels it. This allows us to align our energies with what is truly serving the soul and to have the courage to release everything else if it hasn't already been cleared through circumstances beyond our control, which tends to be the evidence of her protective divine handiwork. Release and you shall receive. Wow. Go ahead. Go ahead, Andromeda.
Wow, that all of that was just incredible. I'm still blown away by, Lemuria, I have to say. But this was very, very relevant to what we're facing at the moment on Earth in terms of witnessing karmic loops happening, witnessing places where we need to be self-protective, but also protective of others. And I think there are incredible messages from both of those oracles. Just incredible, Tony. Honestly, when you drew the first lot of oracle cards from the Rebecca Campbell deck, which I also have, I was just like, I was smiling. I couldn't believe what was coming out. And then, of course, the numerology of the card that you drew from the Kali Oracle is really important. So the journey, right? All of our journeys and our journeys here are really about, yes, our own ascension, but also the ascension of Earth. And we do that through love, through the wisdom of Venus, and the wisdom of Kali, and the wisdom of these incredibly strong, powerful feminine warriors. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Well, please follow Andromeda Flame. She has amazing content. Please follow Water Bear Medicine, which you saw before. I'm going to be uploading this video on my YouTube channel, handle Sacred Intimacy Tarot. Please don't get hustled by shysters who are posing like me, who are asking you for a reading. If you want a reading, if you want a hypnotherapy and Akashic reading, just contact me directly. My website's on the profile page. And I want to thank you. Please, if you think these lives are important, please share them with the people you love. And we'll see you next time. All right. Much love. Namaste.